What if I told you that you're paying a tax, a massive tax, that you never voted for, never see, and never agreed to? A tax that silently drains over $300 billion from Americans every single year. And here's the shocking part. It's perfectly legal. You're paying it right now, and you probably have no idea. Welcome to Financial Stud, where smart money moves meet unstoppable success. Get ready to master your finances and unlock your true earning potential. Since the year 2000, the U.S. dollar has lost around 45% of its purchasing power. Yet most people believe inflation is 2% or 3%. Someone is wrong, and the truth changes everything. Stay with me because once you understand how this hidden tax works, you'll never look at your bank account, your savings, or your financial future the same way again. Where this tax began. To understand the inflation tax, we need to go back. Way back. Before today's financial chaos. Before 8% inflation, before money printing became normal. There was a time when the US dollar was tied to something real. Gold. For decades, this connection limited how much money the government could create. It forced discipline. Protected savers. But in the 1960s, that discipline began to crack. The US was spending heavily on war, on social programs, on global influence, and other countries noticed something suspicious. The US was printing more dollars than it had gold to back them. Nations began asking for gold instead of dollars. Gold started flowing out. Confidence was slipping. Then came a single moment that changed everything. August 15, 1971. President Richard Nixon steps up to a microphone and cuts the last link between the dollar and gold. He called it temporary. It never ended. From that day forward, the US dollar became a fiat currency, backed not by metal, but by trust. And trust is easy to abuse. The birth of the inflation tax. Once the dollar was no longer tied to gold, a quiet new power emerged. The power to create money whenever needed. And that's where the inflation tax begins. Most people think inflation means prices go up. But the truth is deeper. Inflation means your money goes down. Every new dollar the government creates reduces the value of the dollars already in your pocket. This is the core mechanism. New money helps the government and those closest to the financial system. Everyone else pays the price. This was identified centuries ago. It's called the Cantillon Effect. The people who receive new money first get richer. The people holding savings lose purchasing power. Savers get taxed, not by law, but by inflation. The rise of the hidden tax. After 1971, inflation entered American life like a slow-moving storm. The 1970s saw painful double-digit inflation. Prices soared. Mortgage rates hit 15%. Everyday life felt unstable. Then the 1980s slammed the brakes on inflation with massive interest rates. But the printing press never turned off. Fast forward to the 2000s. Two financial crises changed everything. 2008 and 2020. In both events, the government printed unprecedented amounts of money. The result? Since 2000, the US money supply has grown by over 300%. And that leads us to the harsh reality. The dollar today buys almost half of what it bought in 2000. If you saved $100,000 back then, its real value today is closer to $55,000. Not because you spent it, but because inflation ate it. Savers take the hit. Around the 2010s, something quietly broke in the US financial system. Interest rates fell near zero. Savings accounts paid almost nothing. Meanwhile, prices kept rising. This created the perfect storm. Savings interest, near 0%. Real inflation, 3%, 4%, sometimes more. Real return, negative. For over a decade, this meant one thing. Anyone holding cash was guaranteed to lose money. A retiree who spent 40 years saving, their purchasing power evaporated. A family saving for a home prices rose faster than their savings. Young workers storing money in a bank account, they were on a treadmill, moving, but going nowhere. This is the inflation tax in its purest form. Punishes savers, punishes fixed incomes, punishes anyone who relies on cash, and it rewards the opposite. Which leads us to the strangest part of all. In an inflationary system, debt becomes profitable because you pay it back with cheaper dollars. This is how wealth flows upward. The fallout you can see in everyday life. The inflation tax is invisible, but its damage is everywhere. You see it in housing. Home prices up more than 150% since 2000. Education. Tuition up more than 140%. Healthcare. Medical costs nearly doubled. Food and essentials. Up dramatically, especially since 2020. The shrinking middle class. A direct result of inflation eating wages faster than they can rise. Inflation hits hardest at exactly the wrong people. The middle class, young workers, retirees, anyone saving in cash. And it benefits borrowers, asset owners, financial institutions, and yes, governments. Why the system can't fix inflation. Every time inflation spikes, politicians say they'll fix it. Raise interest rates, cut spending, control prices, but decade after decade, nothing truly changes. Why? Because this isn't a bug. It's a design. The US government is carrying more debt than it can realistically repay. And when a nation is drowning in debt, it has only three choices. Default. Raise taxes to painful levels. Use inflation to quietly shrink the debt. Guess which option is always chosen? Inflation. Inflation makes debt cheaper to pay back. Politicians avoid blame. People barely notice what's happening. The inflation tax continues. Today's reality. Fast forward to now. We're living through one of the most aggressive increases in the cost of living in modern history. Just look at the last few years. Groceries up 25%. Rent up 20% plus. Energy prices unstable. Cars, insurance, utilities, everything rising. But the most important fact remains hidden. Savings accounts still pay far less than real inflation, which means the inflation tax today is stronger than ever. Your dollar loses value every year. Your paycheck buys less. Your savings shrink. Your financial future becomes harder to secure. And yet the headlines keep saying, inflation is under control. But your life tells a different story. 3 practical takeaways. Now that you understand the system, here's what you can do. Takeaway 1: don't store long-term wealth in cash. Cash is useful, but it's not a store of value. Your emergency fund? Yes. Your long-term savings? Dangerous. Consider assets that historically beat inflation. Broad index funds, real estate, commodities, gold, and yes, digital assets depending on your risk tolerance. You don't need the perfect choice. You just need to stop losing to inflation every year. Takeaway 2: position yourself on the right side of the system. You can't fight inflation, but you can avoid being its victim. The wealthy don't hold cash. They hold assets. They borrow when rates are low. They let inflation reduce the real cost of their debt. You can use the same principles on any income level. Awareness is your advantage. Takeaway 3: build income streams that grow. Fixed income loses to inflation. Flexible income beats it. That means skills, freelancing, side businesses, investments, rental income, dividends, anything that grows over time. Relying on one paycheck is risky. Relying on cash savings is worse. Final warning and a thought to leave you with. Before you click away, I want you to think about something most people never realize. Every generation believes inflation is temporary. A phase. A rough patch. Something the government will fix. But look back. 20 years, 40 years, 100 years. The dollar never regains the value it loses. Prices never go back down. And purchasing power never comes back. Inflation doesn't reverse. It compounds. A dollar lost is lost forever. And that means if you do nothing, if you keep saving the same way your parents did, you're guaranteed to fall behind. Not because you're bad with money, but because the rules of the game changed. And nobody bothered to tell you. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Inflation isn't just a hidden tax. It's a time bomb. And every year you wait, the fuse gets shorter. You understand why your money buys less, why saving feels harder, why everything seems more expensive. The system isn't designed to reward savers. It's designed to slowly drain them. The question you must ask is simple. Will you adapt to this reality, or will you let inflation quietly erode your future? The future belongs to those who prepare. If this opened your eyes, if it helped you understand the world a little clearer, hit subscribe for more. Join this community of people who want to understand money, not be controlled by it. Like the video, share it with someone who still thinks inflation is 2%. And tell me in the comments, which part shocked you the most? Because the more you understand, the harder it becomes for the system to take advantage of you.